So good morning and welcome to this webinar where we're delighted to introduce our partner Kim Technologies and their fantastic document automation and generation product Kim Document. During this webinar, microphones will be muted, but there will be a Q&A at the end of the session. By way of introduction, I'm Jamie Wilgoose, Projects Consultant at Ascertus, and I'm pleased to be joined today by two of the team at Kim Technologies, Sam Jeffries, VP of Business Development, and George Stephen, Pre-Sales Consultant. During this webinar, we'll be talking about the relationship between Ascertus and Kim, showing you how Kim can bring immediate benefits to your organization, and then demonstrating the product in action. As mentioned, at the end, we'll have the opportunity for questions, so please use the question facility within the webinar software. If we aren't able to answer your questions during the session, we will, of course, follow up afterwards. Okay. So a little about us. Whilst we have many existing customers on this webinar, we also have some organisations that are new to both Ascertus and Kim alike. Ascertus, us, are a leading provider of software, consultancy and solutions to the legal, professional service and corporate markets. The core application that we provide is the iManage solution, but we work with several market-leading solutions that integrate with iManage and provide an end-to-end user journey. At Ascertus, we want to partner with organisations that will truly benefit our customers and organisations that share the same values and dedication to customer success that we do. Kim Technologies are one of those organisations. This is the fourth in the series of webinars that we're hosting, and in this one we'll explore how Kim Document can provide document automation to your organisation. Document automation is something many of our clients have been asking for. When we were approached by Kim, we were seriously impressed with the solution. Personally, what I loved about Kim was how easy it was to use and also set up. By way of example, I took one of our most complex documents that was perfect for automation and managed to set it up in Kim in less than 15 minutes. Coming from a background of case management, I know only too well how long this process can be. Kim is a true no-code solution that allows you to insert key information into your documents. So Kim Document is used by law firms, in-house legal teams, and non-legal departments alike. It's hugely versatile and has use cases across whole organisations. Before I hand over to Sam and George, I wanted to run through some of the key takeaways that drew us to partner with Kim and why we liked the product so much. With Kim Documents, you can automate your key documents in a matter of minutes. When a document is created as an application, you'll be instantly reducing the admin time to generate that document, thus reducing the time write-offs. Kim Document allows you to self-serve documents and contracts and create workspaces automatically in iManage. With Kim, you can share your documents either as documents or actually in a web form. Data is collected within Kim, so that data can be analysed. And finally, we love that the integration that Kim have built between iManage, SharePoint, and many other leading industry platforms. I'll now hand you over to Sam, who will talk about what the product is and what it does, and then she'll hand over to George to show you the application. Over to you, Sam.
Thank you, Jamie. I'm just going to start by giving you a bit of a background on Kim. So Kim has been working with corporate legal since 2016. Kim Enterprise is a no-code, SaaS-based legal operation, case and matter management, contract management, and document automation platform. It's typically configured for the needs of particular clients, and our clients for enterprise generally include global financial, corporate, pharmaceutical institutions. We were getting a lot of requests from small to mid-sized corporate teams for something that took the complexity and cost out of automating all the many documents and forms that legal teams use. But actually they faced quite a lot of barriers to be able to adopt technology. So it had to be very quick to deploy, scalable, be managed without any specialist skills, be very easy to use, fully integrate with all of their business systems, and of course, cost effective. So we created a subset, a packaged version of the platform, which takes the proven document generation capability and delivers a really cost effective, no code document automation, low code integrations to create workflows around those documents and also visibility of data. Since launching, we've had a large uptake from law firms as well as our traditional corporate legal market customers. And over the last year, we've been bringing down further functionality into Kim documents to suit these requirements. In terms of what we're looking to solve, we really just want to make it easy for everyone to be able to find the documents per practice group or role or client. We want to make it easy to get the information into all those documents so users can get on with their work. We want to be able to help get all the information needed from clients without putting the admin burden on them. We want to reduce any manual rekeying of this information. We also want to ensure all of those documents maintain business standards, ensure compliance and control. And we want to give you a way to track what goes on in those documents to be able to give you actionable data. So in terms of how we get started, Kim works around your existing documents and forms. Our starting point is a Word document. So all of the ones you've already spent time creating, they contain all of the information you need to be able to enable your business to run. Plus they contain all the branding and the styles and the formatting that you require. So essentially, Kim turns Word into an automation platform, which enables the creation of enterprise web-based applications, but very quickly without the need for a developer. At the heart of what we do is document automation and assembly, but we help you get to that perfect first draft every time. But we also create workflows and help join up the data getting in and out of those documents. So key to one of our patents is the capability to create really sophisticated no-code forms. There's a vast amount of different functionality as to what can go into those forms. It's all no-code, and this includes the document assembly rules to build out legal documents. The information captured on one form can help produce rekeying further by pre-populating further forms to create multiple documents where needed around certain client services or deals. We do APIs really well, and key to Kim is its inbound and outbound integrations. So we just try to reduce the amount of time getting the data into the right place. So from one form, you can pull data or lists in to pre-populate from one system. You can push data out and documents into one or many systems. So we can integrate with any REST-enabled platform, have integrations with iManage and Monday.com and Salesforce. Again, depending on the use case, we have lots of options as to what you can do with that document once you've automated it. We try to meet users where they're working. So depending on the use case, you might want to provide a link to the document from SharePoint. You might want to surface Kim in Teams or even in iManage. We have a few options as to how to collaborate from Kim. You may just want to save into iManage and open from there. You may want to send an email directly from Kim. You may want to send the form to clients or suppliers if you're gathering information to then create the document. We can also incorporate e-signatures and DocuSign into our workflow. And we have, as far as we can see, quite unique campaign functionality. So this allows you to send a form up to 2,000 people, which can be used to gather information, attestations, confirmations. We've got people using this for everything from class actions to compliance tasks. This might be useful for managing RFIs or general vendor management when you need to communicate out to all your vendors. So the recipient receive a form, they fill in any information required, and that document is generated. But in the back end, you've got complete oversight as to what percentage of recipients have completed. You can send reminders and all that data is collated, so you have it for your records rather than trying to manage all of that out of a spreadsheet. Just in terms of how we work with corporate legal teams, we really try to reduce the admin burden between legal and the rest of the business, so we can help join up Salesforce to iManage or any other system. If you don't have a solution in place, we always recommend starting with intake and allocation management. So setting up a form in Kim that the business can use to request legal support makes it easier for them, view visibility of what work you have, where it's come from, who you've allocated it to, where it is in that process, and also what priority it is. Being able to automate and self-serve your frequently used documents is going to free up your time to focus on higher value work. It's also going to give you increased visibility as what's going on in those documents. Automating the approval of outside counsel requests is going to give you the understanding of why work is being allocated to which outside counsel, give you a consistent way to control and manage costs, and also try to ensure that the appropriate work is allocated externally and that the right external partners are doing the work at the right costs. In terms of law firms, we hear from a lot of law firms that they've started an automation project but stopped because it was too much time from fee earners, it was quite complicated. And we also hear from fee earners that we speak to that automating the low margin areas of the business would free up their time. So we really recommend identifying those low margin, quick wins that can help get associates to the first draft quickly with those improved variables to help them make them more self-sufficient. We can also help reduce manual rekeying around places where clients tend to send information in, so in their format. So this could be memorandum of sale in real estate is a really good example, and can save hundreds of hours per year of non-billable time by pre-populating and creating the suite of documents from that form that comes in from your client. Settlement agreements, all of the associated paperwork, getting it out of Excel, creating first drafts of agreements, then providing a way to update quickly and create new versions. We can help where you're managing groups of claimants, so trade unions, class actions, managing all of those communications, gathering data. And letters of engagements are a really good starting point as well. So being able to assemble, add different covering letters, append documents for each of those different practice areas. And because it's so easy to automate, we have a lot of different clients using us outside of legal documents. So operationally, we can become a really good solution where rather than creating bespoke applications to do quite a lot of what other platforms offer. So we're looking for those really document intensive tasks where you're currently using, as it's easy, Excel spreadsheets or Word documents to collect information that you need to get on with your job. IT teams have a lot of those around information managing contractors or suppliers, managing compliance and risk. Project management, it could be that you want to collect some information as to what projects get approved and then create a record in monday.com. HR have a lot of different time-consuming, document-intensive tasks around onboarding, recruitment, compliance. The vendor security questionnaire is one that is a really great document to automate. It's quite hard to check all those answers when they're sent back in an Excel spreadsheet, so sending it as a form gives you the flexibility to make fields mandatory. You can add attachments into that form. You get all the data back into one place, can push it into Power BI or whatever you're using. So really we just provide a very flexible tool that we can help to fill any gaps in your processes and to reduce down admin. Before I pass you over to George, it's worth saying we're also helping you to create a global data lake of all of those variable fields in those documents and forms that are typically normally sent out by email. It's going to turn the unstructured data that's currently in your Word documents into a structured format so you can report on it, analyse it. And also at the moment, everyone's looking for that verified data to educate their corporate LMM. Kim can act as the pre-processor to provide that data. And I'll pass you over to George, who will give you a demo.
Thank you, Sam. So I'm just going to make sure that I share the correct screen, otherwise this is going to be a little bit dry for you. So in terms of product demonstration, I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm going to show how we can create a nice and simple document, such as an NDA. There is some conditionality in that I will demonstrate how we can make that a unique document for that client. And then obviously what you can do with that NDA, such as sending it for e-signature. I'll then peel back the magic curtain and show you behind the scenes and how you can create your own starting with a Word document, we'll edit that and we'll add that to an existing application that we have to show you how we can update it. Once we've kind of gone through that process to show that we can do the creation of documents, we will then describe how we can interface with a system such as iManage to not just create those documents within Kim, but also push them with configurations such that we are creating a matter workspace in iManage and then layering the documents into the specific folders that they need to be in within iManage. Now, I'm just going to start off with the interface so you can see, so you understand what you're looking at here. We have what we call categories, just different ways that we can group the automated applications in the system. The naming convention of the categories and what sits in each of those categories is defined entirely by yourself. Equally, who sees which category you define by inclusion and exclusion rules. In the middle of the screen is the records area. So this is the workspace where your records are created. Records then give you access to documents that are available for you to download. And we'll talk about the various interactions as well that we can have with those documents. But they are records. So records have activities, and we can see the last activity that happened against these records. And we can also have notes, and notes can be both internal to the system or private, internal to your users, or equally you could make them available to other people so that you can communicate with those other collaborators on the system. In terms of how do you create a record, very simply, I'm going to click on the option here for a mutual NDA. As you'll see, the form that gets presented, it's nice and it's clear and it's simple. We've got different types of control that we want to use to gather different types of information. So, for example, I've got a text box that allows me to record the company name information. We're using drop-down lists so that we can constrain the quality of the data that we are getting back from the users, thus reducing their ability to put things in incorrectly. And we can talk about that more in a couple of minutes as well. I'm just using information that my web browser is storing for me. We can pre-fill data. We can have default values. So if it was a date field, for example, so default it to today's date. We have some lists in here, allowing us just to quickly capture an answer to a very simple question about obligations enforced past termination. Say yes. And we have another list in regards to liability. So I'm going to say yes to liability there. In regards to governing law, we have some rules. So depending upon the answer to the question that I select here for the governing law for this agreement, certain items of content will be added to the assembled document. So I'll first off select United States as the governing law for this agreement, and I will run a document preview, which will assemble the document. As you can see in the preview, I've left highlighting on so you can see the variable parts of what I answered in those questions. If I scroll further down the document, you will see at section 19, I have the governing law provision, which is in reference to the state of New York. Now, that governing law provision is placing an entire paragraph of text with specific structure, it could have formatting, it could have bullet points, for example, into that area of the document. Equal to that, we are also appending an entirely separate Microsoft Word document to the bottom of this agreement. So the example here is additional terms for the governing law provision of the United States. Actually, this could be for your sales agreements. So if you're selling, say you have a portfolio of 50 different products and your users are able to select in a master sales agreement 5 of those products, you might want terms and conditions specific to those 5 products being inserted in a specific order at the bottom of the document, giving you control over what content goes into the document, the standardization of content that's added, as well as the order in which they're added to the document. As well as appending information to the bottom of the document, we may actually want an entirely separate cover page. So think of this for your engagement letters. Different practice areas might want a different cover page for an engagement letter with different imagery on it. So intellectual property might want something that's different from a family practice, which is different from commercial law or airplane refinancing. So you can have an entirely separate pre-penned to the front of the document as well. So when we assemble, you can have custom appendices at the front, you can have custom content at the bottom, and also custom content within the document itself. So if I just click and close that, and now from the preview, go back to the form and actually select England and Wales. And this time you'll see highlighting is still on for those available answers, but also that the content for the governing law has been updated to language specific for England and Wales, and I have a separate appendices added to the bottom of the document. Now, in the document preview, yes, I can do a download in a PDF format. Now, that PDF actually might be Microsoft Word, so you can download in, and you have choices of your PDF and Word, or just Word, or actually for a document of a specific type. Actually, the document isn't the challenge, so it might be it's an internal process and you just want to create the record, so you don't necessarily even need to have the document as being part of the output. So this time I'm just going to press submit rather than preview. That's going to create me a record, bring me back to the viewer, allowing me to access the document, giving me access to do the download to PDF format. From the record, you will see I have a new record that's being created for me. This is an NDA, so the rather obvious thing that I would want to do with an NDA is send it for signing. So the signing process we have will integrate with DocuSign. It will then allow you to sign into DocuSign, and DocuSign will then handle the e-signing process for both parties. You will receive relevant alerts when the recipients have opened and signed the document, and you will then have, when the document is signed, a document returned back in, which I have an example of here. So you can also see that our menus are dynamic to the content, because I have an example of a document which has been executed and already has been signed and made available for me to download for long-term storage. So that's a very quick example of how we can create a document. It has some complexity and also a workflow to integrate with DocuSign to hand off the e-signing process. Now, in terms of behind the scenes, how do we create that automation? The starting point is a Microsoft Word document. So in a very traditional Blue Peter style, I have an example NDA that I've part built. I'm going to download the template, which is a Microsoft Word document, as I say. I open that. For the first time, it's going to open in the correct screen, which is good. If I edit this document, we'll see the yellow highlighting that I have enabled. And I want to add in the purpose. So I've left that available here for me to change. So our format for a tag is nice and simple. It's an open square bracket, a $sign, and then the fields that you want. So that would be then the, if you were integrating with a third-party system, if you tell us, or if you want to then map your fields together, the consistency of field names and labels is going to make it easy to do that mapping of Kim documents across to a data source where you can pull information into that form interview. If I just scroll down to the bottom of the document, you'll see I have another one here. Again, the same process, open square bracket, $sign, governing law, close square bracket. And if I just highlight that again, make it nice and easy for us to find that variable. If I save the document, close it, within that Kim application, if I now press on the menu and select update, this is going to guide me through the update process to pull the updated document from my downloads folder where I updated it. Kim will recognize you have new tags within that document and automatically open the form editor for me, which, as you can see, is a no-code drag and drop form editor, allowing me to build a custom human user interface for the form to capture the data. So my new tags have appeared on the left-hand side. I will drag the first one down and place it on the form. There's actually 4 columns to this form. So if I press on the cog, I can then control some of the properties, including how many columns this control is going to span on the form. Now, this is then the tag name that has been brought in from the Word document, but I can add a custom label. So therefore, it's question 2. What is the purpose of the NDA? It's a question, so we'll add a question mark. We can specify a field type. Now, the field type then allows us to control if it's a checkbox, a drop-down list, or a large text area, if it's an integer because you want to gather values, for example. Each form, we can also control if it's mandatory. Potentially, if you're pulling that data in from a third-party system, we might want to make it read-only, so the user can't change the data you already have. We can control the length. You could add a mask onto the control as well. So if you had an invoice number or a client account number, so 8 digits or 8 alphanumerics followed by the year as 4 numerics, then you can control the data format. Thus, we're getting quality structured data into the system. So I'll leave those ones as is. Just say apply, and you can see that control's been added. I'll repeat that process for governing law very quickly. Move it up ever so slightly, make it at least a little bit neat. As you can see, I can't talk and type at the same time. This time, instead of it being a text box, we're going to add a drop-down list. So we'll have a couple of types of drop-down lists. You can have a static list, so I can input a comma-separated list of values. Alternatively, we can use the system's predefined lists and point to a common set of lists that are available in the system for use. So that allows you to standardize the lists of data that you have, making it nice and easy for the user to input the correct information. In this case, I'm going to give the user the options of Scotland or England and Wales only. And I'm going to change the column width to 2, and I'm going to say apply. Now I'm happy with how that looks. I can run this in test mode, but I'm not going to do that because I'll run it live in a second. So I'm going to save it. Prior to saving, I'm going to toggle the option across to say I'm now happy for it to go live. That's going to change it from being red in the viewer here to being black text, just to denote that that is now going to be a live application. And if I close the wizard down, you will then see it's gone black, and I can now enter and use this as a live application, share it out to other users and make it available for use. So we can now input the same information as you would expect. It always has to be Barbados. I just have this thing about wanting to live there for some reason. And let's select England and Wales, and we will submit that document. So in submitting the document, it's going to show me that preview. The highlighting was still turned on. So you can see the sharing of IP for the new sale as I input in there, as well as the governing law provision, section 19 is going to state England. Now, we could obviously link this to the rules. To do that, if I close this down, I'll show you what the no-code rules look like. So as referenced by Sam earlier on, we not just the no code editor, but the rules that sit within the system for that custom document generation, they're also no code. So for that custom assembly, there are 3 parts to it. One is the rule. The second part is internal to Kim content that you can have specific to tags. So a tag being the PIS tag, for example. Equal to that, you can have a document library. So think of that as being where, for example, I have additional terms for England and Wales, United States. They're Microsoft Word documents, they're perfectly formatted. If there was tags in there, the data would flow from the parent form into that appendices that's being added in, so the content would be made custom as well. But in terms of the rules, I already have some rules set for that application that I used initially. So the example here being for Canada, I have a very simple expression. So there's 2 parts to a rule. The first part is the rule itself and the expression to what to look for. So look for the value in the governing law drop-down list, which happens to equal Canada, but equally you might just not want to use equals. It might be numerics that you're looking at, so all the greater than, less than, or equal to options are available. Equally, because you might have multiple items of content, you can use this then against a free text field you might want to have contained. So look for the instance of a specific word if it appears, not necessarily the explicit only value of Canada. So the rule would trigger. If that rule triggers and it's true, the second part is what action do we perform? So again, it's still no code. The action is to do a replacement of the governing law tag with content from my content library which is explicitly called Governing Law Provision for Canada. So I'm able to pull that content in. And the same is true then for the merge that we're doing. So the same expression is true. I'll actually select Canada because that happens to be consistent with what I did earlier. So it's still looking for governing law equals to Canada. And this time the action it's going to perform is an append. So append a document, but equally, as I mentioned, that could be pre-append. So the front cover page gets updated with specific cover sheet for an engagement letter for a different practice area. But in this case, it's going to append an entirely separate Word document at the bottom. So it's nice and simple to create rules. From those rules, create actions, and then create custom documents. So you might then be able to significantly reduce the number of precedents in your precedent library that you're using for common standard repeatable document types, because we can then control that conditionality, and you're creating that governance model for creative and complex documents, but still adhering to corporate standards and rules. I'm going to move on and kind of ramp it up and show you a little bit more creativity here. So we do have clients that use iManage not just for client-related data, but also to store their HR and operational data around staffing. So all the staffing certificates and training and information gets held in there. So my option that I'm going to show, so the scenario that I'm going to show you just now is how we can work with iManage to create a iManage workspace, but also to populate that workspace with documents that we've created within Kim. So again, this is a very simple self-describing form. So I use blue font just to show here is what I expect of the user. Here's what's going to happen next when you get it. So trying to cut down on the onboarding time and that effort that it takes to get people to use this form. I've got nice simple lists here that I can use then to pre-fill in the information. But rather than have you watch the horror story that is my typing again, I also have an integration with a third-party data service. So I will pull in record 1003, which I know happens to be for Sam. So Sam, apologies for picking on you. I can pre-populate the document or the form with information from a third-party system. Now, all this is doing is actually pointing to a SharePoint list that we have available and pulling in records ID 1003 in the fields that we have mapped from that SharePoint list. So now that we've pulled that in, I only need to complete the fields that I haven't been able to map because I don't have that data. So going to be a full-time employee and reports to Carol Chapman. So what's going to happen now? I'm going to create this record. Now, this is one of those options where actually creating the document isn't really an important thing. The important thing is what it's doing in the background, because this is a back office type process. This could be for a new client onboarding where you're creating that client workspace and putting your engagement letter and various other pieces of content into the document, into the workspace. But for this back office operations, it doesn't really need to be necessarily an important document to us. Hence the formatting is very, very simplistic. As you can see, I'm generating a PDF and a Word document from that record creation process. Now, if I close, what I can then show you is the process by which we've created in the background sub-records. So just by creating that one very, very simple record, and I pre-filled in most of it from a third-party data source, I've created sub-records. So this down chevron denotes to me that there are sub-forms, sub-records available to me. Each one of these can have entirely separate life cycles and workflow processes. So the example being that I have created an onboarding checklist so that I know who then to share this with, so that there is a delegate that will meet Sam on day one on our first day of operations, so our first day attending the business, so that we do the HR induction process, all the health and safety and so on and so forth. So we do that by using the share feature, and we can then share to the email address an internal resource so that they will see this record. Different workflow might be for the IT tech request. So this would be, again, a share. The content is slightly different, as I'll show you by bringing up the form. So actually, we might want to have this information being pushed across and automatically filed into your IT ticketing system. So the record and the document could be integrated with and automatically generate a ticket in your IT ticketing system, so it's already there as an item as part of the queue, so that they know to requisition the relevant licenses and accounts and technology for the new person coming on board. Importantly, they know who to speak to if they have any follow-up questions. Equally, we could pass the responsibility to Carol to answer the questions around, is there a specific piece of tech that is required? So you've got different interactions that we can do with this form again. Now, with the first one that we have up here, we would want to share that with the employee. Now, this is an employee that's external to your business. They haven't yet joined. So we want to ask them, so we can enroll them in the payroll system, for their bank details and also social security, national insurance number, and so on and so forth. Equally, this is coming from the HR or payroll team. So we might also want them to supply us with relevant references. So please provide us your right to work within the jurisdiction as a PDF document, copy of your PDF of your P45, the professional certificates that you said that you had through your CV and employment process. Now, all of these records are important to us in their Word documents. Now, the important point here is we have also integrated with iManage. Now, in the background, as well as creating all of those records and that sub-record process that we can have those specific workflows of, I have created a Sam Jeffries workspace. And within that Sam Jeffries workspace, we have created specific content. So within the accounting folder, there's a 10K Word file. Within the HR folder, there's a 16K. Within the IT folder. So these are different documents that are getting created into those explicit folders. And these are live documents. We're doing this because your users will know what to do in terms of checking in, checking out, version control, emailing them, updating them. So we can push the PDF, the Word document in for that live life cycle in the system that you already use for the life cycle of that content. So in terms of summary, we've shown how to create very quickly documents that can then be shared with internal or external resource. I've also showed you behind the curtain as to how quick and easy it is to create those documents with that complexity by starting with your Microsoft Word document, by then updating and tagging that document. And I've then shown a more complex process by which we have created multiple documents from one form. Those documents have different workflows for each of them, but we have also integrated across to iManage so that you're automatically creating that workspace in iManage and filing the relevant documents into the relevant folder structures within iManage as your long-term repository. And with that, I think I will hand back to Jamie.
Thank you very much. Fantastic. Thank you very much, George and Sam. We've got time for just a couple of questions that we've received. The first one is, where is the data hosted and processed?
Each of our clients have the opportunity to select one of 3 data processing locations at the point in which they sign up. So we do use Microsoft Azure, and we have tenancies in the US, the UK, and in the EU. So the user themselves can decide that.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay. Next question is a very good one. Does everybody in the organisation or department require a license?
No, that's a good question. We only charge for the super admins, so those people that are managing the automations internally. There's no charge for internal users, and there's no charge for any clients to use Kim.
Okay. Right, unfortunately, we've sadly we're out of time. I just wanted to say a huge thank you to Sam and George for joining us, but also for everyone for attending this webinar. And I hope you found it useful and have seen just how versatile and powerful Kim document can be. We will be sending out a copy of this recording later on today. Within that, the email that we'll be sending out, you can also, there's a place to find out more about both Ascertus and Kim document. We've also got some further webinars sort of coming up soon, one on version control and one on Litera, so please do sign up. But I just wanted to say thank you once again, and I hope everybody has a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie.
Cheers. Bye-bye.